Every once in a while, when you're out and about in a game, doing some quests or just exploring, you'll walk into a random location, and out of the blue, you'll get the biggest dose of the heebie-jeebies you've ever gotten. You're casually strolling by, and in an instant, the mood completely changes, while the game seemingly stays the same. This can happen in any game at any time. You find a place, and for no reason you just think, something's going on and I don't like it, but I'm curious and I'm kind of into it now, but I'm scared and I really want to leave. I don't know what's going on exactly. The heebie-jeebies in this case are pretty ambiguous. They don't have a strict definition. They are not specifically anxiety or nervousness. It can be any feeling. These places could range from odd and creepy to out of place but kind of pretty, to dreamy but weird, to painfully uninteresting, which to me makes them interesting. It's all over the place, but the bottom line is, some places are just freaking weird, and I want to show you some today. I picked out spots that have been on my mind for months or years at this point, and they're from a variety of games I really like and know some fun facts and trivia and tidbits about, so get ready for those. Before we begin, 2 disclaimers. 1, I'm going to be yapping about a whole lot of nothing. This ain't a smart video where I break down human psychology and game development and stuff. I don't know shit about fuck. If I'll see a weird rock and I like it, I'll tell you about it. This is going to be a very free beers deep type conversation, and one of us is going to be nonverbal. Second, I want to shout out Annie Austin for creating an amazing series about this topic. Credit goes to him. His videos are really cool. I didn't think anybody else cared about things like this, and these videos definitely healed something in me. Thanks. Now I want to show you my stupid little weird places in games. The first game we're gonna look at is Dying Light, including the DLC The Following, which, by the way, is an amazing name for a follow-up DLC. They really put their heads together on that one. Dying Light is a mostly action-focused zombie parkour game that a lot of people remember only for being able to drop-kick everything that moves within close vicinity of you. It is insanely fun, especially when you play with friends. However, it is also a very grim and dark game aesthetic-wise. If you really immerse yourself in its world while playing alone, it can get pretty quirky. Everywhere you look, there's blood, guts, and trash. Infected constantly groan and follow you around. When they lose interest, all you hear is them eating unrecognizable corpses on the ground. Virals scream in the distance and come running at the slightest of noises you make. All the buildings are ravaged, gone through by survivors who took everything they could and only left their hope behind. Looking at the city of Haran, it would be hard not to call all of it a weird and scary, anxiety-inducing space, a one big heebie-jeebie. However, I want to show you a few spots that kind of defy the nature of this game and have their own completely different, unique sense of weirdness. These spots are examples of this spot is normal, but everything else around it is weird, therefore it becomes weirder than the weird because it's too normal for the weird. The Dam. The Dam is a very interesting little weirdo freak. I want to cover the entirety of it, but I'm mostly interested in the lower level, this one shelf of the dam. Why I want to talk about this place is because, in terms of atmosphere, it's probably as far as you can get away from the chaos of the rest of the game. This spot is very isolated, it's really quiet, and so relaxing, which doesn't exist in this game. This view of the countryside is almost convincing enough that the city of Haran hasn't been overrun with a zombie virus. I feel like if I jumped down right on that dumpster, I would start playing like a first-person Just Cause instead of a zombie game. This is one of the only locations on the map, besides safe houses, where you aren't going to be bothered by anybody. No screaming, no gunshots and death, no walkers coming down. The dam itself has zombies on it, and one time I came here, bandits were guarding the south entrance, I think. But this strip, this part of it, is perfectly safe. Which leads me to another reason why I find it weird. It's because it looks kind of useless all around, right? And it's because it's useless and completely random. There really ain't much here besides a very thought-provoking choice of assets I wanted to share with you. In this luxurious New York City apartment, we have 4 buckets, 3 blue, 1 gray, some diversity, love it. In the front, 2 pallets of hollow bricks. They're both the same model with 4 bottles of wine and 2 bottles of bourbon. I guess we knew what the buckets were for. Somehow, this is not the only texture that repeats here. These crates are also the same. Sorry, this one has the plywood flipped. Completely different, sorry. I noticed there's a crane with a rope that you can take to go down here. But I don't understand why I would ever want to do that. The animation is cool, you know, I guess. And as a cherry on top, someone put 2 power transformers up here. I think that's what they're called, at least. And the right one is okay to touch, but the left one is turned on, and it can kill you in 2 seconds. And there's no way to tell if it's turned on. There's no light switch or an animation or something. It doesn't emit sound like the ones over there at the bottom. It's like a hidden death trap out in the open. And for some reason, that really weirds me out. If we come down here and analyze it from below, it gets so much worse because it's apparent. It's so apparent that this part of the dam was very gamified, if that makes sense. Like, nothing has ever been built like this. Ever. Truly, what the hell is this pipe for example? What flows through it? It's like 10 meters long and doesn't go anywhere. Its only purpose is for you to walk on it and get to this ladder-like structure while scaling the dam. And the worst part about it is this whole structure isn't like a flat, straight slab of concrete. It has some curvature to it. So where the climbable parts are, the devs had to put a stone wall, Fallout 4 style, to be able to place this pipe or these ladders. Otherwise, you couldn't do it because it's not an even surface. These aren't anywhere else on the dam too. It's just this pillar and then a jagged collar around the top. It looks so dumb, especially from above. Like, you clearly aren't supposed to look at this for long because, damn. Wow, nice pun, man. Wow. This red thing is pretty intriguing too. It looks like it was supposed to be an elevator, like those construction site elevators that look like torture devices straight out of Saw, but it just isn't, and there's no actual way to climb this thing. Like, if you're an engineer of some kind, you couldn't do much unless you were into parkour. It doesn't reach the top either, so it's just for the player to go up and have a red shiny thing in front of them so they don't see the walls. Let's go back up. Because I almost forgot to mention. This door, you cannot interact with it. And the first time I came here, I was like, okay, what is this place? Is this like a secret hangout spot for the workers? Did they go down the rope and then go up the unfinished scaffolding? Did they put transformers and a couple of switches here so it looks like they have something to work on, but in reality they're drinking wine out of buckets? This door is graffiti or something, or it's cardboard, right? It's not real. No. Spoiler warning. Surprisingly, skip to this timestamp if you don't want spoilers, but this place is the last spot you visit in the game. This is where the ending happens. You have a timer, you gotta go up the side of the dam, and when you enter this door, you never come back out. You talk with the freaky ass cult leader zombie thing, and then you choose the ending, and the game ends. This place is literally designed to be barely seen. You're meant to be paranoid you're gonna run out of time, you get a red shiny thing to distract you, and you don't notice how weird it is. And I love it because an ending location should feel grand and epic and stuff. And what Techland decided to do is put down like 5 things here, and nearly all of them are repeated assets. I guess this chest doesn't have a clone up here, and I never opened it, if I'm remembering correctly, so I might as well. The dam itself is at the border of the map. It's as far as you can go into the southeast or northeast region. This is where the sun comes up. Figure it out on your own. The strait on the dam has such divisive and contradicting vibes. On one hand, it's tragic. It's filled with cars that got stuck at the beginning of the outbreak. Tons of people were desperately trying to get out, which unfortunately caused the traffic bad enough that people were most likely getting out of their cars and going on foot, further worsening the blockage, and soon enough the area became a graveyard for cars that had the misfortune of driving here. From another perspective, it has this bizarre unfinished feeling to it. It's like someone modeled a rough draft and said, okay, I'm gonna finish this tomorrow. And that went as well as leaving something for tomorrow usually does. Like, for example, I love these 4 completely stripped down cars, identical, down to the license plates that are placed one after the other with nothing else around. There are also these green trucks here, and pretty much none of them make sense. One has roadblocks stacked on it with no straps or anything, raw dogging it completely. This one doesn't have walls on the trailer. Only the frames stayed on, and I can't begin to imagine the maniac who took them down and how he took them. And my personal favorite are the perfectly intact trucks with trailers that have been picked clean. And by clean, I mean this shit was dusted and polished. Not a single stain on this floor, god damn. Then, lastly, as I said before, this isn't about the cars anymore, this is about the spot. This area is so isolated, but it's so beautiful, and if you don't go out of your way to explore it, you'll never experience it. You have the chance to go to the dam in the story twice, but both times are chaotic and you never go up to the highest level. If it weren't for this net, this could be a postcard photo. This view is so serene and calm. You hear gentle wind flying past you and the flowing water on both sides of the dam. These beautiful mountain PNGs, the trees. It's almost like this burning car directly to the right of me stops roaring just to appreciate the nature in the distance. After playing for a while, like a few hundred hours, getting here is like walking through an invisible loading screen that boots up a completely different game. It's jarring and weird. Place in a video game. Let's move on to another spot. The lighthouse. The dam and the lighthouse are very similar and they're sort of connected, so I won't take as long discussing it, but I still wanted to tell you about it. The lighthouse is so odd to me because it feels like a DLC location that should be locked away until some random character talks to you through a radio about it. It's ways away from any point of interest. Going here is a detour and a half, and it looks significant. It looks grand. When you see it from a distance, it draws you in, and I promise that this sentence wasn't written by a ship or a boat. Driving up here feels a bit tense. There's this aura of importance. But when you reach the lighthouse, you automatically unlock a save zone with no struggle, which never happens. And I thought it was a glitch at first. And then you realize, yeah, the lighthouse is in no way, shape, or form interactable. All the doors are locked up. You can climb through a window, but that leads to a locked gate. Another window leads to another locked door. And the only fun thing you can do is grapple to the top and jump back down on a car. Coming here feels like I got here too early and the content is still loading, which is kind of true. Without more spoilers, I'll just say a story mission happens here, closely related to the one with the dam. But even with that context, there's nothing to do here. There's a blueprint for a weapon you can collect, and there's a hidden cave with a revolver. That actually, makes it not nothing, but you know what I mean. Usually for a place like this in a game, there would be a barrier of some kind preventing you from entering. Some walls or guards, but nothing is stopping anybody from coming here. The safe house, it's what's throwing me off. Like, that's the main issue, because the way it unlocks feels like a checkpoint you aren't supposed to notice during a cutscene or something. And it's very clearly not a safe house. Like, it's on the ground floor. The windows aren't reinforced. The bare minimum of closing the wooden guards isn't even met. All the doors are wide open, and the sole obstacle preventing you from entering is a door with spikes that's standing there on a technicality. One zombie tumbles on this by accident and you're dinner. It's more of an obstacle for the player seeking safety than the danger getting in. Placing a safe zone this far away from everything is the weirdest decision, as there's no incentive to go here more than once. Nobody is going out of their way to use this little spot. You either drive to the town, or a gas station, or the bridge. This is a one and done safe zone. And it is a bit of a shame, because all safe houses have unique interiors, and this is the coziest one of them all. It may be because it screams Polish apartment to me. Like, it's so Slavic, it hurts. The dirty-ass gas stove with stains that saw the Soviet Union, the whiskey on the bedside table, a gazillion books that could range from 2018 to 1652 that nobody will read. The only complaint I'd have is the medical cabinet, because that would imply you wouldn't use a piece of paper and tape if you hurt yourself. It feels like home. I'd love to go here to pass the night, every night. Would it be the most comfortable? No. Would I probably wake up to unrelenting drilling noise at 6:30? Maybe. Would I have to bathe in a bowl of semi-warm water? Also maybe. But the upside is, my dad would make breakfast in his favorite charcoal-covered pan that's older than me and acts as a smoke grenade every time he uses it. If you're Slavic and you relate, tell me the most Slavic thing that keeps happening in your daily life. The view out of the lighthouse is pretty insane. You can see the city of Haran from the base game from over here, and it's gorgeous, especially nearing nighttime, because you can actually see people starting to turn on their lights as it gets dark, and it is beautiful. But when you look down, there's a hunter's blind on a rock formation, like a cliff overlooking the sea. Why? Is it looking out for ships? Or is it a makeshift lifeguard tower? I think it was put here to fill out this part of the map a tad more, but it is an insane placement. Like, if you're looking out for people that are drowning, by the time you get to them, they're going to be halfway into reincarnating as a fish. What could possibly be the use for this? Please enlighten me if someone knows. And while we're at it, talking about insane placement, look at this. Why would I need this sign? I know there's a turn. I drove up here, and it's in front of me. This is like a do not drink disclaimer on bleach or shampoo. Like, if I need one, it probably won't help me. One more thing before we move on to our last spot from Dying Light. This one, I have no idea how I noticed, but when I was walking around here and looking, the sun hit just right, and it cast the shadow of the lighthouse onto a big rock in the water. And I was really happy. I was admiring how insane this is to create. A group of people worked for years to have this shadow look this good on that rock. And I just love when things align like this and I get to see them. But then I turned to the right to see if there's any more cool shadows, and saw this. A stain in the air. Or more fitting, stain on the air. Someone spilled something on the atmosphere. A brush stroke is defying laws of physics. It's so random and weird, because I'm willing to bet not a soul has seen this except for me. And also, not a single soul gives a shit. But it's interesting to me. Who was the guy that was making a 3D model of something here and forgot to Ctrl Z on the random brushstroke after alt-tabbing. This is a gray, see-through stroke on like 60% opacity. I don't know why I find it so cool. I don't know, I'm going to call it Bartholomew. Honestly, feel free to screenshot. I kind of love him. Our last goofball within the dying of the light will be the Infamy Bridge. Historic things have happened here, but we don't need to be reminded of those. Nah, we're fine. The bridge is a pretty iconic location, and it has my favorite weird spot in the entire game. The medical checkpoint. At the beginning of the outbreak, this was the place everyone would come to leave the city. It was a connection between Haran and the outside world. The military quickly set up a medical checkpoint here to try to contain the virus, but due to many things going wrong, they accidentally set off explosives on two ends of the bridge that were meant to be used as a last resort to not let the virus spread further. Technically, the small strip of the bridge that the checkpoint was on was isolated and, in quotes, safe, but unfortunately, this did the exact opposite of helping. It just trapped a ton of scared people in a place with limited food and water. In time, the people there would inevitably succumb to thirst or hunger, turn into mindless monsters walking in circles, and the virus would spread further anyway. This spot serves as an early game life hack because the tents have massive amount of medical supplies. You can reach it by climbing one of the bridge towers and sliding down the cables, or just using the grappling hook if you want to cheese it. Looking at it, you may think, this place isn't that weird. It's cool, but not weird. And yeah, the tents and the medkits may not strike you with the jitters or the jim jams. Quite the opposite, you'll be happy to get your hands on some meds. The HP in this game drains like a motherfucker. However, if you walk to the other end of the road, you'll see this. I don't think the devs could have made up their minds on what this part of the bridge was supposed to be, and it just feels wrong to look at. They detailed a few meters of it, but then it splits into this PS1 and PS2 graphics showcase. Clearly, the latter part was designed to be the background, like these Gmod looking landscapes and the 2D trees that are growing in the water. But someone figured, what the hell, let's season this bridge a little bit, get some of that paprika and garlic powder on there, and then just not do it on the other side, and as a bonus, give you plain rice, peas, and water as a side dish. It's so odd to look at a place that's meant to be viewed from a particular perspective in the wrong perspective. In this example, you'll usually be looking at the bridge from a very far distance because that's what it was meant for, but being so up close in its personal space, it feels like I cheated to be here. Like I was out looking for Easter eggs, I no-clipped, flew out here, and I'm now considered a little rascal that won't earn achievements anymore as a punishment. That's not the case though. I climbed up, slid down, and I'm not a little rascal. Maybe just a little bit, like a tiny bit. I jumped on the bus instead of walking around it. I could have walked. The weirdest and coolest part about this is Dying Light has always been proud of the motto of like, you can go anywhere. And that's very true. The attention to detail of being able to climb pretty much anything is insane. If you want to go, you can go. There's slight limitations, but you can mostly go. So my dumbass was like, if tower go up and cable go down and me here, can I tower and cable there? And yeah, you can. You can grapple up and make your way down the cable and boom, you're the background now. You're in a part of the game that has exactly no purpose other than to be looked at for 2 seconds. You thought looking at it was weird? Now you're walking on it. Isn't that just exhilarating? My favorite weird thing about this spot is once you get the you're walking out of the game area prompt, the game goes silent. The entire world stops. Not a squeak can be heard. The only audible noises are what the player can produce and the music, which strangely felt like it was communicating with me. Like every time I passed this threshold of the map, the game would let out this playful sounding warning, like, hey, we don't mind, but there's nothing to see here. Go back, man. What you doing up here anyway? You'd think they would extend the radius of the explosion, or block the view of destroyed cars, or have a few fences or blockades to obscure it at the very least. Something that would distract you from the sudden texture change. But it's empty. It's honestly in pristine condition. Whoever cleaned the trucks must have been here. I respect it so goddamn hard that the devs let you go here and that they don't fade you out instantly. You do fade out when you walk past like the halfway point of the detail road, but you're free to explore and be here for as long as your heart desires. Not many people will care about this. Not many of the monkey brains are even gonna care about this. And that makes it, to me, so much cooler on their part. Okay, I think I'm done with this spot. I don't have any other video essayist words to say, though it is criminal that they didn't put an Easter egg here. It's a perfect spot for some dumb reference that they could have done, kind of like what GTA San Andreas did on one of its bridges. Actually, speaking of, while the game is so universally known that it'll be pointless to describe it, I do have to remind you of one aspect of it. The huge myth slash legend slash creepypasta scene of San Andreas. I don't think there is a single game besides this and Minecraft that had such a big and active community of people believing there's cryptids and entities in their game. Bigfoot, Pigsy, Mothman, Ringgirl, Ghost Scars, The Well, Leatherface. I could go on and on. Unfortunately, it is a bygone era of horror. It's nearly impossible to recreate this type of scariness in this day and age because, well, we know how video games work now. Herobrine doesn't exist in the game. He only exists in our hearts. Though the one thing left behind that we can still have fun with is the feeling in those games that caused all of those cryptid stories to emerge. Scary stories don't come out of nowhere. There's always a reason for people making up these big, unbelievable dangers. They were scared of something, and they decided to put whatever they were feeling on paper and added a scary guy to it to make it a bit more real. They couldn't just be scared of a forest on its own, right? San Andreas had one major reason why so many players were doing that. Weird ass places. Coming back to this game for this video was so mind-boggling because everywhere I looked, I'd get those odd heebie-jeebies. Every place felt just a little bit off. San Andreas has such a specific type of video game atmosphere, and it is so rare, and I absolutely root-and-tootly fucking adore it. I am so excited to talk about some of these places, and I'm probably going to make a separate video just talking about them because there are so many and they are amazing. Starting off with one of the most popular ones, the Johnson House. I am telling you, when I was a wee lad, I avoided this thing like Andrew Tate avoids the government. The second I could afford the Jefferson House, I was out of there. I don't know what type of twisted fucking energy this house was cursed with, but it used to make me run to my older brother, who would have to come in, save the game for me, and leave the house. I couldn't be in there. And I found recently, it must have been a childhood thing. Just a childhood thing. We all had a hyper-specific thing we found scary as a kid that later down the line was nothing of note. Like, I remember being scared of the Muppet Bohemian Rhapsody cover. It was something silly that hit a certain fear, and now I couldn't even tell you what it was. But that's not the case with this house. There is something about it that I cannot explain. No matter how many times I tell myself it's fine, it's okay, just look at the floppy disk, save, go, and you're fine, I still tense my entire body waiting for attack. I'm ready to swing at any moment. I actually played through the entirety of San Andreas for this video, and after like the first 3 hours of the playthrough, I never stepped in that house again. The creepiness was just as strong as it was 15 years ago. Holy shit, I'm kind of old. It is one of the most irrational fears I have tied to video games. This house isn't scary. There's no hidden scares. It doesn't hold any secrets or Easter eggs. Freddy Fazbear is not gonna laugh at me and take out the batteries out of my toy generator. It's a silent, still, and stale house where nothing ever happens. Despite how silly it sounds, it is genuinely unpleasant for me to exist in this house. Seeing this visual fills me with dread of someone running down those stairs every time. It triggers the screamer video detector that I developed while growing up in that shitty ass era of the internet. Don't worry, I'm not gonna play any jump scares, you're safe with me. It's just, I feel like I'm looking at a car drive behind trees and I'm stuck in that half second before you get blasted and your life is changed forever. But I have no earthly idea why. I could throw out some pseudo-intellectual remarks of like, ooh, the portraits on the walls look like they're staring at you and that's scary to your mind subconsciously. But I don't know. I guess it feels like manufactured. It feels fake. Specifically made to feel like a save point instead of a family home. Most of the doors are locked. There's no view out of the windows. There's this constant humming with no variation to it whatsoever. But I don't know why that would be scary. An IRL counterpart to the feeling this house gives, and this is the best I can come up with, don't judge me, is waking up first at a sleepover at your friend's house. The house, alongside the rest of the city, is still asleep, and you only hear white noise your ears have yet to grow accustomed to. The stillness feels sharp on the eyes. For a brief moment, it feels like you're stuck in time almost. And it is a positive feeling, but in the back of your mind, you feel a bit off. You woke up in someone else's place, and you can't do much until at least one member of the family wakes up. What does this have to do with CJ's spot? I don't know. I'm reaching here. I'm sharing this because I find it so goddamn weird for no reason at all. And I hope somebody relates to it. Someone views it from the same perspective and maybe has an explanation. I don't know. Okay, one more thing. I know this messed up the pacing a little bit, but this is post-editing Trony. And I wanted to share this specific thing with you. You know how when you go out of CJ's house, usually what you do is just like kind of run and just like go to Sweet or grab a car or drive, whatever. But you see this little area right here? I always kind of imagined it as a 2D plane. Well, I want to know how many of you realize that you can just kind of not move and go in here? And you can even go all the way here. Which, you know, technically... Oh, okay, you cannot jump over this. I thought you could jump over this this fence and this one and be here, but... There's invisible walls, and you can only get here if you stop and then just like... what? I'm recording a video here. Shut up. How many of you have seen this perspective? Like... Wow. In the vast, beautiful land of San Andreas and its large catalog of wackos and oddballs, there are a few locations that were left sitting there on the map, completely unused. Locations with no practical purpose that exist solely to fill up space, or they exist because it was probably a bigger burden to remove them than to keep them in. You may start recognizing a little bit of a pattern here. I kind of like unused and unfinished content in games. These spots vary in size and weirdness, but by far the biggest and the weirdest of them all is Bayside, a little town located in the top left of the map that you may have not known about. I certainly didn't until like 2 years ago. It's a cutesy, tiny spot surrounded by tall mountains and water. A town ways away from quite literally everything else. A spot that confuses the hell out of me because it's used for nothing at all. Driving into it is like any other San Andreas town. You have your roads, your NPCs, your houses, your shops with scary looking images on the windows. It seems so nice. It has a drop dead gorgeous view. It's honestly one of the best looking locations in this game. Though, once you take a look around, it becomes a very strange place. Not a single enterable business. The houses feel a bit too much like a background movie set made out of cardboard. The NPCs are here walking around on the streets, but there's too many of them in a few spots and not enough in others. One side of the town can look abandoned, and the other one will have a horde of the same 5 people over and over. They glitch into the pavement, they constantly hit each other on the road, they act really hostile. There are a few bugs in this area too. You can trigger a glitch that makes an unused gang show up, and it's so interesting because it looks like a finished product, and the scale of it is like a full-fledged town that would be a perfect fit for a couple of missions to play out or to have an expensive little safe house there, but it's not. There's nothing to do here. The only thing set up here is a boating school, and it's not mandatory. You are not forced to come here at any point during the story. The story of Bayside is that it was created for only 2 specific missions. It was Ice Cold Killa and Pierre 69. Both missions are still in the game, but the locations were changed to San Fierro, because what the devs didn't realize is that the region Bayside is located in would still be locked during the part of the story of both of those missions. If the player went to that section of the map, they'd instantly get 4 stars, and they couldn't realistically progress in the story. So instead of working around that, Rockstar said, screw it. They relocated the missions, slapped a boating school on there, and called it a day. It doesn't help that it was added very late into development. It wasn't even on the beta versions of the map. Like, the whole game was already planned out, so they had really no use for it, and they probably didn't want to waste time and resources on giving this town actual purpose. I know that stuff like this is normal. Every game has unused content to some degree, but I guess it's so weird to me because I cannot fathom making a project this big and never using it. I get torn apart when I caught a 30-second section out of a YouTube video and someone had to cut a town out of a AAA game. There's people out there who modeled all of this, programmed all of this in. They spend a gazillion, billion, trillion hours on this, and it got left behind by Slipknot. And aside from the knowledge that 2 missions were designed for this place, it is so clear that it was meant for something more. A helicopter pad, a whole ass dock with a vortex spawn, amazing cars driving around, a few weapon pickups, including an exclusive variant of a dildo. And I'm not joking, Bayside is the only spot where you can find the small one. And my favorite thing about this town is this hole in the pavement. I have never seen a hole in the pavement anywhere in San Andreas. This was put here on purpose by someone, and all it does is glitch out every entity that dares to step on it. Your whole body gets coated in shadow and you tremble out of fear for a split second. It exists only to displeasure your character and the other little guys walking around. It's so bizarre. The whole town has such a weird feeling. It's stuck right in the middle of unfinished and finished. It's glitchy and lacks a reason to exist, really, but it's so pretty and full of random details. It essentially is unused content that still made it into the final product somehow. I love it to death. It's such a cool, weird place. Moving a bit to the right on the map, we have another spot, and that is
El Quebrados.
This is a town that's similar to Bayside, just kind of exists and has nothing to offer in terms of gameplay. At least nothing important. It has a safe house, an ammunition store, a pay and spray, and an unmarked barber with a vending machine in front. It's all very tacked on. The safe house is identical to another one you can buy, and as I said, the barber isn't even highlighted anywhere. It was definitely a last minute addition to the game. There is a romance option near the police station, but you don't ever go here. Without a booklet, there ain't no way you'll find this. I had no idea this woman existed until I saw a bike I wanted to steal close to where she was. It's a very insignificant town, but it has one special thing about it. At least to me. This building right here. Do you get why I find it special? It's an open interior. That's not how that works in San Andreas. That's not a thing. Besides garages, maybe. Like, you need loading screens to get inside of places. This isn't a pay and spray. It's just a warehouse with a lot of windows. Which, by the way, you can break. You can shoot them or ride through them. And something even dumber, I realized. The glass breaking animation is only visible from the outside. If you shoot the windows while you're inside, they disappear in an instant. And let me show you this. You can jump into this building. That's so weird for this game. You don't ever do that. I've played 40 hours of this, not mentioning the godless amount of hours I've played in my childhood wandering around this map, and I didn't see a single spot like this. And why is the moon so big? Is that how it's always been? What the fuck? It's so random. Why is this building interactable? Why this one specifically? Nobody ever looked at this building and thought, oh, I want to go in there. Oh, this building just gets me going. No, it's in the middle of a town that 90% of players are never going to visit. It's in the middle of nowhere, and I quite frankly don't know what this place would be used for. The entrance doesn't have doors. The exit doesn't have them either. It's an open room anybody can walk into from two different sides. There's a little stairway that goes around it. Also, I can't help but notice the low-res PNG of ventilation boxes on the building that's used to connect the two bigger buildings. Then the brick wall on the building gets progressively more stretched, only to look normal again by the end. Like someone was learning how to fit a texture on a wall and gave up on the previous ones when they actually got it. And I don't know if I'm tweaking or not, but some of the wall is set to cursive, I think, but like only a few bricks at a time. Here it's curved, but not here. Here it is. Here it's not. It's very blurry and stretched here. I don't know. What happened? What happened? There's a shop right next to it. Got them right. Actually, every building using this texture is fine. A few of them exist. And there's ones with more abstract shapes that look easy to mess up, and they're fine too. This is an exception in the town, and it's like the only enterable space besides businesses in the whole game. What is this building? Genuinely. I don't know. Weird building. Makes no sense. I like it. This gas station is a vibe too. I like it too. Take a look while I flip the pages for the next spot in the next game. Our last game will be Minecraft, with just two spots that I dread with full passion. The end and the nether. But I don't mean the modern ones. I mean their first versions from Minecraft Alpha 1.2.0 and Minecraft Release 1.0. These dimensions make me think that early Minecraft creepypasta was just Mojang fucking with the players. There is a chance they made Herobrine and Null and all that crap because they have created some absolute nightmare fuel and added it to the game for no reason. Not to mention the whole scary aura around old Minecraft, which is a whole other rabbit hole we're not gonna get into right now. But seriously, these are so tonally different from the overworld. They have come very far since. They fit the game now. They have enough content to keep you in them for hours. They're pretty fun, but their first iterations were uncanny, to say the least. The Nether was an inhabitable, desolate, and very dark place. The lava and glowstone didn't help in the slightest. Many players at the time referred to the Nether as Hell, and yeah, the name couldn't be more fitting. Whenever you stepped out of the portal on easy, normal, or hard, you were hit with an array of noise that could kill a Victorian child no problem. Oftentimes, pigmen and ghasts would instantly walk into lava or fire, and they sounded like actual tortured souls. I had my volume on 100% the first time I revisited old Minecraft, and I do not recommend it. That shit sounded like the Postal 1 menu. On the contrary though, when you turned on peaceful, all you heard was the rustling of the fire, permeating this empty, almost monochromatic landscape. It was either a sad wasteland with miserable looking and sounding mobs wandering aimlessly, or a meaningless lava-covered realm stretching infinitely. There was also the added element of like being able to get lost easily. Everything looks the same, and if you get turned around, you may say goodbye to your portal and your base, because every block in the nether is 8 blocks in the overworld. If you walked for like 5 minutes straight, you're done for. It's an actual nightmare dimension. You can get lost and lose everything. You can get stuck if a ghast blows up your portal and the only way out then is dying. You can't get any resources because there's nothing there. No wood, no stone, no food. Like, for the first year of its existence, it offered 3 more blocks to use in your builds, and that's it. 99% of people would grab some glowstone, realize it's too much of a hassle to get it, and they would never go back in again. It's also very exhausting to walk around the nether for more than like 2 minutes. And it's not only because of the atmosphere of either of the difficulties, but it's genuinely a chore to look at. It may be because I have sensitive eyes, but the nether has 2 color variations. It's bright red/orange mixture, or very dark purplish red. There's no middle ground. You just look at 2 extremes, and my eyes get confused. They are getting blasted while simultaneously not being able to figure out what's in front of me. The End is a location that I've never visited much because of a very specific fear I've had, and because I defeated the Ender Dragon once and was like, cool, can I play another round of Hunger Games with my friends now, please? The End used to be a single island floating in an unending void. Nothing but this little piece of land in a completely dead plane of existence. It has a lot of shared qualities with the Nether that I mentioned, and all of them are multiplied times 40 on the horror beyond human comprehension graph. The way the Nether stretches out for infinity looks like the second half of a kebab you left for tomorrow once you see this fucking horror. An abstract floating island made out of sickly yellow blocks with dark pillars all over it, surrounded by the color purple swallowing any possible thing that could have existed here. A surreal world with no shape to grasp. No edges, no walls, no ceiling, no floors. Just a shapeless expanse with a minuscule island in the middle. The entire sky, or whatever you could even call this, is coated in static, which makes it look so much more unpleasant. It somehow makes the endless sky feel constricting, like the world is applying pressure on you from all sides, despite not moving at all. Mojang removed the static at some point, and it was probably for the best. It does have a really cool effect, but it's so just inconvenient and unnecessarily threatening. It reminds me of the void fog that used to be in caves. It was a fantastic concept. It looked amazing, but I remember being absolutely terrified of caving as a kid because of it. Going down to bedrock was a no-go for a solid few years. Same thing with going to the end. I'd stare into the void and it would do like an impossible dolly zoom that didn't focus on anything in particular. It just seemed like I was getting wrapped around in the darkness, and I'd always want to leave instantly. And free ways of doing that are jumping off the platform, which kills you in probably the worst way you could die, just falling into nothingness, feeding into the scariness even more, Or you would have to fight the Ender Dragon and win, but that's one of the longest boss fights I've ever endured, so not really an option. Or you'd have to abandon the world and leave this little Steve behind on a platform in a dimension literally worse than hell. The specific fear I've mentioned is a fear of something overtaking the sky, like darkness enclosing on the entire landscape. And funny enough, the fear started with San Andreas when I was flying very high off the map with a jetpack and the whole sky turned black out of nowhere. I would show you what it is, but genuinely, this shit still gives me nightmares. And the end is kind of like that exact thing, encapsulated and then forced onto a screen in front of me everywhere. And sure, when you're on the island, it's not that bad. It's still a sterile environment devoid of any sort of comfort. There's nothing to look at or nowhere to go that could bring you a sense of safety. And I guess when you're not on Peaceful, you get to live out the horrifying Lost in Space simulator with Noel but Long as a buddy. But once you fly out and lose sight of the spawn, it is terrifying. I went to this version of the end with my boyfriend to have some sort of emotional support, and after we messed around a bit, we just flew in one random direction, and the footage, I think, speaks for itself. Navigating here is impossible. There's barely any indication of movement. You can only see your character turn, and when there's somebody else on the screen, you can see them move, but once you're alone, you don't have that, and you are blocked out of the simple act of knowing if you're even in motion or not. In this clip, I'm bolting it in a random direction, and you cannot tell. I was actively freaking out and desperately trying to keep my boyfriend in my field of view because there was no going back past a certain point. When you get a little itty-bitty lost in here, one accidental turn of the mouse, you are stranded with no way of coming back, ever.